Have you ever felt like you're at a crossroads, holding on to a relationship or friendship because it's comfortable, familiar, but deep down, you know it's holding you back from truly flourishing? It's a tough pill to swallow, realizing that sometimes the people closest to us, the ones we've laughed with, cried with, and shared countless memories with, might not be meant to journey with us forever. It's a stark revelation, isn't it? But here's where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism sheds a transformative light on our modern dilemmas. The Stoics, with their profound insights into human nature and the pursuit of a fulfilling life, remind us that personal growth often requires making hard choices about who we allow into our inner circle. It's not about cutting people out with cold indifference, but about curating our lives with intention, choosing relationships that uplift, inspire, and challenge us to be our best selves. So, if you're standing at that crossroads, feeling the weight of a decision that could redefine your path, you're not alone. Today, we dive deep into the heart of Stoic wisdom to explore the signs it's time to lovingly release certain ties, making space for new growth, deeper connections, and a life aligned with your highest virtues. Stay with me as we embark on this journey together, guided by the timeless teachings of Stoicism, ready to discover the freedom and peace that come from choosing our relationships with wisdom and courage. And as we navigate this journey, I invite you to hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who might need to hear this message, and don't forget to like and watch every part without skipping, because every moment of this exploration could be the one that transforms your life. 1. If a relationship is stopping you from growing, it's a red flag. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever found yourself feeling stuck, like you're not moving forward because someone close to you isn't cheering you on, or worse, they're actively holding you back? It's a tough spot to be in, isn't it? Seneca was all about the power of personal growth and self-improvement. He believed that to live a life worth living, we must constantly evolve, learn, and push our boundaries. So, if you're in a relationship, whether it's with a friend, family member, or partner, and you feel like you're not able to grow, Seneca would probably tell you that's a red flag you can't ignore. Now, I'm not saying every relationship has to be about pushing you to your limits or setting world records, but the people who care about you should want to see you flourish. They should be your cheerleaders, your support system, not anchors, dragging you down to the depths of what if and if only. It's worth sitting down and having a heart-to-heart with yourself. Ask, why am I still holding on to this relationship? Is it out of habit, fear, loyalty? These are hard questions, but necessary. Because here's the thing, true connections, the ones that are really worth your time and heart, should lift you up. They should make you feel like you're capable of being more today than you were yesterday. Stoicism teaches us the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who contribute positively to our lives. It's not about accumulating friends or being liked. It's about curating a circle that enriches your life, encourages your growth, and aligns with your values. So, if you find yourself in a relationship that feels more like quicksand than a launching pad, it might be time to reconsider its place in your life. Remember, it's not selfish to want to grow, it's human. And sometimes, growth means letting go of those who hold us back, not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the lessons learned and the strength gained from knowing when to say goodbye. Reflect on your relationships and consider whether they're bridges to your best self or barriers to your growth. And remember, the journey of self-improvement is never a solo trip. We need the right companions to truly make the journey worthwhile. 2. We've all felt at one point or another being caught in a whirlwind of negative emotions within a relationship. Ever find yourself in a situation where it feels like drama is the main course and support is, well, not even on the menu? It's exhausting, isn't it? Marcus Aurelius had some powerful insights into dealing with our emotions. He famously said that we have control over our minds, not over external events, and realizing this is where our true power lies. This is a game changer when you apply it to relationships filled with jealousy, anger, or any other negative emotion that seems to dominate the landscape. Think about it. If your relationship feels more like a battleground than a safe haven, it's a signal, loud and clear, that something's got to give. These emotions, while part of the human experience, shouldn't be the foundation or the defining traits of any relationship that's meant to last and bring you peace. Now, I'm not suggesting that we can or should aim to live without ever feeling angry or jealous. That would be like trying to breathe without air. But what Marcus Aurelius teaches us is that we're in the driver's seat when it comes to our reactions to these emotions. If jealousy arises because a friend seems to be moving forward in life while you feel stuck, or if anger bubbles up every time a certain someone undermines you, remember, you control your reaction. You can choose not to let these emotions dictate the terms of your relationship. But what does that look like in practice? It starts with awareness, recognizing when you're feeling these emotions and asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? What can I learn from this? How can I respond in a manner that aligns with the person I aspire to be? These aren't easy questions, but they are essential ones. And sometimes the healthiest reaction is to create distance or make a change. It's not about running away from problems, but acknowledging that if the core of a relationship is more about pulling each other into negative spirals rather than lifting up, it might be time to reassess. This doesn't mean you've failed or that the other person is a villain in your story. It's simply recognizing that not every relationship is meant to endure every season of our lives, and that's okay. The Stoics were big on the idea of living in accordance with nature, and sometimes the natural course of things is to grow apart. So, if you find yourself constantly wrestling with negative emotions in any of your relationships, take a moment. Reflect on Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Remember, you have the power over your mind, your reactions, and ultimately, the choice to surround yourself with relationships that are rooted in positive, supportive energies. It's in these environments that we can truly thrive, grow, and find peace. Let's not let the drama define our relationships. Instead, let's cultivate connections that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine support. Because at the end of the day, those are the relationships that withstand the test of time and bring out the best in us. 3. Let's tackle a tricky but crucial topic, the role of manipulation and control in our relationships. In any kind of relationship, feeling like you're more of a puppet than a partner is a massive red flag. It's about time we talk about autonomy, freedom, and the sage advice of Epictetus once said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Think about that for a moment. True freedom, according to Epictetus, comes from within, from being in control of our actions, decisions, and ultimately, our lives. So, what does it mean for us when we find ourselves in relationships where we feel like we're not the ones calling the shots, where our decisions, desires, and even our thoughts seem to be under someone else's control? It's a sign, loud and clear, that something's not right. Manipulation and control can sneak up on us in various forms. It might be subtle, like constant suggestions that steer you away from your passions, or moreover, like outright demands dictating who you should be or what you should do. These are not the hallmarks of a healthy relationship. True connections, the ones that are really worth our time and emotional investment, are built on mutual respect and freedom. Stoicism teaches us about the importance of autonomy, being the master of your own ship, so to speak. If you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly second-guessing your choices or feeling like your wings are clipped, it's worth asking why. Why stay in a dynamic that stifles your freedom and keeps you from being the author of your own life story? Here's the thing. Cutting ties with someone who's manipulating or controlling you isn't about being harsh or unkind. It's about honoring your worth, your autonomy, and your right to lead a life that's true to you. It's about taking Epictetus's wisdom to heart and reclaiming your freedom, the freedom to make your own choices, to grow, to live a life aligned with your values. And yes, making the decision to step away from such relationships can be incredibly tough. It might mean letting go of something familiar or even someone you care deeply about. But remember, Stoicism isn't about taking the easy path. It's about taking the right path. Sometimes the right path is the one that leads us away from what harms us and towards a more authentic, fulfilling existence. True relationships, the ones that genuinely enrich our lives, are those that respect our individuality and freedom. They encourage us to explore, to question, to grow. They don't try to mold us into something we're not or dictate how we should live our lives. So if you're feeling like someone's pulling your strings, take a moment to reflect on Epictetus's words. No one is truly free who isn't master of himself. Ask yourself if it's time to cut those strings and embrace the freedom to be authentically you. It's a journey worth taking, a step towards a life where you're in control, surrounded by relationships that uplift and respect your autonomy and freedom. Let's cherish and seek out those connections that empower us, that allow us to be the masters of our own lives. Because at the end of the day, that's what true friendship and love should do. Set us free, not hold us back. 4. What happens when a relationship starts to do more harm than good? When the time you spend with someone leaves you feeling more drained than energized, more stressed than supported. It's like you're constantly walking on eggshells, caught up in an endless cycle of arguments, or just feeling down whenever they're around. These are glaring red flags that something's seriously off. Healthy connections, the kind we all deserve and should strive for, they're supposed to feel good. They're meant to enrich our lives, bring us joy, and support us through the ups and downs. They're not supposed to complicate our lives with constant stress or make us question our worth. The Stoics were all about living in harmony with nature, including our own nature, and pursuing a life of virtue and tranquility. They believed in the importance of maintaining relationships that are in line with these principles. So, if you find yourself in a relationship that's pulling you away from peace, from being your best self, it's worth considering what the Stoics might advise. They'd likely encourage us to take a step back and examine the situation objectively. Is this relationship contributing to your well-being? Is it helping you grow as a person? Or is it a source of constant negativity, draining your energy and leaving you feeling worse for wear? If it's the latter, it might be time to question whether this connection is truly serving your highest good. Remember, Stoicism teaches us the value of self-awareness and the courage to make difficult decisions that align with our well-being and virtues. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about recognizing what's truly beneficial for us in the long run. And sometimes that means making the tough choice to distance ourselves from relationships that do more harm than good. This isn't to say that every rough patch means a relationship is toxic or should be ended. But if you're consistently feeling worse because of someone's presence in your life, it's a sign that something needs to change. Healthy relationships might have their challenges, but at their core, they're sources of support, love, and mutual growth. So if you're nodding along, feeling like this resonates with your current situation, take a moment to reflect. Consider what steps you can take to address the issues at hand. Communication is key. Perhaps it's time for an honest, open conversation about how you're feeling. If things don't change, remember, It's okay to prioritize your peace and well-being. The Stoics would remind us that our responsibility to ourselves includes nurturing relationships that are healthy and letting go of those that aren't. Let's commit to seeking out and cultivating connections that feel healthy, that add to our lives rather than complicate them. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve relationships that bring us joy, growth, and tranquility. And remember, it's through facing these challenges, making these tough decisions, that we grow stronger and more aligned with our true selves. That's the Stoic way, embracing what serves us and having the wisdom to let go of what doesn't. 5. Lack of mutual respect is another deal breaker. Without respect, there's no foundation for anything positive. Without respect, what do we really have? It's like trying to build a house on sand. Eventually, everything's just going to collapse. The Stoics, who were pretty big on the whole concept of living a virtuous life, placed a huge emphasis on self-respect and the respect we owe to others. They believed that every individual possesses inherent worth and dignity, and this belief should be reflected in how we treat each other. So, if you find yourself in a relationship where you're not being treated with the dignity you deserve, it's a massive red flag. It's not just about feeling undervalued, it's about recognizing that a fundamental aspect of your humanity is being disregarded. Mutual respect is the bedrock of any healthy connection. It's the foundation upon which trust, love, and genuine understanding are built. If that's missing, then what's left? You're left with a relationship that's hollow, unfulfilling, and frankly, not worth your time and emotional investment. Now, I can almost hear some of you saying, but what if it's not that simple? What if I really care about this person? And that's a fair point. Relationships are complex and emotions are powerful. But here's where the wisdom of Stoicism can guide us. The Stoics were all about clarity, rationality, and living in alignment with our highest values. They would encourage us to take a step back and assess our relationships through this lens. Are we being true to ourselves by staying in a situation where we're not respected? Are we honoring our inherent worth and the virtues we strive to live by? If the answer is no, then it might be time for a serious reassessment. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting someone out of your life with cold precision. Instead, it's about recognizing your own value and making decisions that reflect that. It might mean setting clearer boundaries, having a heart-to-heart conversation about how you're feeling, or, in some cases, acknowledging that it's time to move on. Remember, respecting yourself and insisting on being treated with respect by others is not selfish or demanding. It's a reflection of the self-worth that the Stoics believed each of us should cultivate. It's about living with integrity and ensuring that your relationships reflect the respect and virtue you strive for in your own life. So, if you're dealing with a lack of mutual respect, take a moment to reflect on what that means for you and your well-being. Consider how you can address this issue in a way that honors your dignity and values. Because at the end of the day, every one of us deserves to be in relationships where we're treated with the respect and consideration we'd give in return. Let's strive to cultivate connections that are rooted in mutual respect, where each person is valued and appreciated for who they are. That's the kind of relationship that not only survives, but thrives, reflecting the best of what it means to live a life grounded in Stoic wisdom and virtue. 6. Feeling tethered to illusions rather than reality. Stoicism, at its heart, is about acceptance. Accepting the reality of our lives, our relationships, and the world around us, not as we wish them to be, but as they truly are. The Stoics, with their pragmatic and grounded approach to life, teach us that there's profound strength and freedom in seeing things clearly without the rose-colored glasses that illusions often provide. So, what does this mean for our relationships? Well, it means taking a hard, honest look at them and asking ourselves whether they're rooted in reality or if we're holding on to a fantasy. Are we ignoring red flags, glossing over issues, or painting a picture of someone that doesn't quite match up with who they really are? If so, we're not doing ourselves or our partners any favors. Being tethered to illusions in a relationship can feel like being stuck in a mirage. From a distance, everything looks perfect, but as you get closer, you realize it's just an illusion, lacking substance and truth. This isn't to say that hope and aspirations have no place in relationships. They do. But there's a fine line between healthy aspirations and losing ourselves in fantasies that detract from our ability to engage with the genuine nature of our connections. Embracing the truth, as the Stoics would advise, is about confronting these illusions head-on. It's about having the courage to recognize and accept the reality of our relationships, even when it's uncomfortable or painful. This is no easy task. It requires a level of honesty and vulnerability that can be daunting, but there's incredible power in truth. It's the foundation upon which genuine, meaningful relationships are built. The process of embracing reality over illusion can be transformative. It might mean acknowledging that a relationship isn't what you thought it was, or that the person you're with isn't who you hoped they would be. This realization can be a bitter pill to swallow, but it's also a crucial step towards genuine growth and emotional freedom. It opens up the space for you to engage in relationships that are authentic, where you can love and be loved for who you truly are, not for the illusions you've constructed. So, if you find yourself feeling tethered to illusions, take a moment to reflect. What aspects of your relationship are real, and what parts have you embellished or imagined? How does this alignment, or lack thereof, with reality affect your happiness and well-being? Remember, Stoicism isn't about pessimism or resigning ourselves to unhappiness. Quite the opposite. It's about finding peace and contentment by aligning ourselves with the truth of how things are. It teaches us that by accepting reality, we can navigate our lives and relationships with wisdom, clarity, and a sense of groundedness that illusions simply cannot provide. Let's challenge ourselves to look at our relationships through the lens of Stoic acceptance. Let's embrace the truth, however hard it may be, and in doing so, open ourselves up to the kind of genuine, fulfilling connections that enrich our lives in meaningful ways. After all, in the clarity of truth, we find the path to real happiness and love. 7. Compromising your values should never be on the table. These are the principles that guide us, the moral compass that directs our decisions, actions, and ultimately, our life's course. Now, here's a question that might hit closer to home than we'd like. What happens when a relationship challenges those very values? When it asks you to compromise on what you hold dear? It's a tough scenario, but it's one that demands our attention, and, you guessed it, Stoicism has some invaluable insights on this matter. The Stoics would argue that compromising our core values for the sake of a relationship is a price too high to pay. Why? Because our values are the essence of who we are. They shape our identity, influence our choices, and dictate how we interact with the world around us. To compromise on these is to lose a part of ourselves, and that's a loss no relationship is worth. Being in a relationship that requires you to act in ways that contradict your values. Maybe it's small things at first, but over time, these compromises start to add up, eroding your sense of self and the principles you live by. This isn't just about making sacrifices or compromises, which are normal parts of any healthy relationship. It's about betraying the very core of your being. The Stoics teach us that integrity and virtue are not just lofty ideals, but practical guides for living a good life. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they all emphasized the importance of staying true to oneself, of living in alignment with one's values, no matter the external pressures or temptations. This alignment is what gives our lives meaning, direction, and a sense of purpose. So, if you find yourself in a situation where a relationship is demanding you to betray your values, it's a clear signal to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this relationship serving my highest good? Is it allowing me to grow and thrive, or is it holding me back, asking me to be someone I'm not? It's not an easy situation to navigate, especially when emotions are involved. But here's where the Stoic practice of self-reflection and rational analysis can be your ally. By stepping back and assessing the relationship through the lens of your values, you can make decisions that are not only right for you, but that also honor the person you strive to be. And remember, walking away from a relationship that compromises your values isn't a sign of failure. It's a courageous act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to only accept relationships that uplift you, respect you, and align with the essence of who you are. Let's challenge ourselves to live with the integrity and virtue the Stoics admired so much. Let's ensure that our relationships reflect and respect our values, not undermine them. Because at the end of the day, it's our adherence to these values that defines us, guides us through life's ups and downs, and leads us to true fulfillment. So, keep your values close, cherish them, and never compromise on them for anyone or anything. In doing so, you'll not only honor the wisdom of the Stoics, but also pave the way for relationships that are genuine, meaningful, and truly enriching. 8. When we talk about reciprocity, we're talking about the balance of give and take between people. It's about mutual support, where both parties contribute to the relationship in equal measure. But what happens when this balance is off? When you find yourself in a one-sided relationship, constantly giving but rarely, if ever, receiving. It's a situation many of us have faced, and it's far from ideal. Reciprocity is not just a nice-to-have. It's key to the health and longevity of any relationship. Think about it. A relationship where one person is always the giver and the other always the receiver is fundamentally out of balance. It can lead to feelings of resentment, exhaustion, and underappreciation on the part of the giver, and dependency or entitlement on the part of the receiver. This imbalance undermines the very essence of what a healthy relationship should be. Now, the Stoics had a lot to say about the nature of relationships and the importance of mutual support. They believed in the value of contributing to the well-being of others, but not at the expense of one's own well-being. For the Stoics, the ideal relationship was one of harmony and mutual respect, where both individuals support each other in their pursuit of virtue and a good life. So if you're stuck in a one-sided relationship, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the Stoic principles of balance and mutual respect. Are you respecting yourself by allowing this imbalance to continue? Are you respecting the other person by enabling a dynamic that doesn't encourage their growth or contribution? Addressing this imbalance doesn't necessarily mean ending the relationship. Instead, it can be an opportunity for growth for both parties. It starts with communication, expressing your needs, setting boundaries, and discussing ways to bring more balance into the relationship. It's about encouraging and allowing the other person to contribute more, not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Healthy relationships are dynamic. They evolve over time. They require effort, compromise, and a willingness to adapt. But the foundation should always be one of reciprocity. Each person should feel valued, heard, and supported. It's this mutual support that builds trust, deepens connection, and fosters an environment where both individuals can thrive. Remember, seeking balance in your relationships is not selfish. It's necessary. It's about ensuring that you're not just giving, but also receiving the support, love, and respect you deserve. It's about building relationships that are not just sustainable, but truly enriching for both parties. So let's strive to cultivate relationships where reciprocity is the norm, not the exception. Let's take to heart the Stoic ideals of balance and mutual respect, creating connections that uplift and support everyone involved. After all, in the give and take of life, we find the true essence of meaningful relationships. 9. This is a hard subject to tackle, but it's crucial we talk about it. Abuse in any form, be it physical, emotional, verbal, or psychological, is a clear, unequivocal signal that it's time to leave the relationship. Stoicism, a philosophy deeply rooted in the principles of dignity, self-respect, and the value of the human spirit, unequivocally condemns any form of abuse. Such behavior not only violates the Stoic principles of respect for oneself and others, but also destroys the very foundation of trust and safety that relationships should be built upon. Stoicism teaches us the importance of recognizing our inherent worth and insists on the necessity of maintaining our dignity and self-respect. These aren't just lofty ideals. They are practical guidelines meant to direct our actions and choices, especially in the face of adversity. When we find ourselves in situations where these fundamental principles are being violated, Stoicism urges us to take action, not out of vengeance or anger, but out of respect for ourselves and the innate value of our well-being. Abuse tramples on dignity and self-respect. It seeks to diminish the victim's sense of self, to control and to instill fear. This is antithetical to everything Stoicism stands for. The Stoic response to such a situation is clear. Seeking help and exiting the relationship is not just important, it's necessary. It's a step that aligns with the Stoic commitment to living a life that is virtuous and dignified, one that respects the inherent worth of every individual, starting with oneself. Exiting an abusive relationship is undoubtedly one of the most challenging decisions one might ever have to make. It requires immense courage, strength, and often support from others. This is where the Stoic practice of seeking wisdom from those who have faced similar challenges, or from professionals who can offer guidance and support, becomes invaluable. Seeking help, whether from friends, family, or professional services, is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It's an affirmation of one's worth and a commitment to living a life free from harm. Moreover, Stoicism doesn't just stop at advocating for the exit from abusive situations. It also emphasizes the process of healing and reclaiming one's dignity and self-respect after such experiences. It teaches us that while we may not have control over the actions of others, we have control over how we respond to those actions and how we move forward. The journey of healing from abuse is, in many ways, a Stoic journey. It's about reasserting control over one's inner world, reaffirming one's values, and rebuilding one's life in alignment with those values. Let's be clear. If you're in a situation where you're facing abuse, know that it's not your fault, and you're not alone. Reaching out for help, leaning on the strength of those who support you, and taking steps to leave such a situation behind are all actions that reflect the highest respect you can show yourself. They are steps towards a life where your dignity, your self-respect, and your well-being are prioritized, as they should be. In the spirit of Stoicism, let's remember the importance of valuing ourselves, respecting our inherent worth, and taking decisive action to remove ourselves from harmful situations. Let's stand firm in our commitment to dignity, to self-respect, and to the pursuit of a life that is not just free from abuse, but rich in virtue and meaning. 10. Failed communication can be a tough hurdle. What happens when communication within a relationship fails? When attempts to talk things out lead nowhere, Finding common ground feels like an insurmountable task, and mutual understanding seems like a distant dream. This isn't just a minor bump in the road, it's a red flag signaling deeper issues that need addressing. And you guessed it, Stoicism, with its timeless wisdom, has some guidance for us here too. Effective communication is the lifeblood of any thriving relationship. It's how we express our needs, share our thoughts, and connect with one another on a meaningful level. Without it, we're essentially navigating our relationships in the dark, guessing at what the other person is thinking or feeling, and likely getting it wrong more often than not. The Stoics understood the value of clear, honest communication. They practiced it in their lives and encouraged it in their teachings, emphasizing the importance of listening, understanding, and responding with wisdom and empathy. So, what do we do when communication breaks down? First, it's crucial to recognize that failed communication is often a symptom of underlying issues. It could be a lack of trust, unresolved resentments, or simply a difference in communication styles. Whatever the root cause, Stoicism teaches us to approach the problem with a clear head and a willing heart. It encourages us to look inward, examining our own role in the communication breakdown, and to strive for clarity and honesty in our interactions. Marcus Aurelius was a strong advocate for using reason and logic to navigate life's challenges. He would likely suggest that we apply these same tools to tackle communication issues. This means taking a step back, removing emotions from the equation as much as possible, and analyzing the situation objectively. Where is the communication failing? Why? What steps can be taken to improve it? Improving communication requires effort from all parties involved. It's about creating a safe space where each person feels heard and valued. It's about actively listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly trying to understand the other person's perspective. It's about expressing yourself clearly and respectfully, without accusations or assumptions. And perhaps most importantly, it's about having the patience and persistence to keep trying, even when it feels like you're not making progress. Stoicism also reminds us of the importance of empathy and compassion in our communications. Remember, everyone has their struggles, fears, and insecurities. Sometimes what comes across as hostility or indifference is actually a defense mechanism. By approaching our communications with empathy, we open the door to deeper understanding and connection. Failed communication doesn't have to be the end of a relationship. Instead, it can be an opportunity for growth, for both individuals and the relationship itself. It's a chance to learn more about each other, to develop better communication skills, and to build a stronger, more resilient bond. So, if you find yourself facing communication challenges, take a moment to reflect on the Stoic principles of clarity, honesty, and empathy. Use these as your guide to navigate through the issues, and remember, the goal isn't just to talk more, but to communicate better. In the richness of effective communication, we find the true essence of connection and understanding, the very foundations upon which meaningful relationships are built. 11. Picture this: a relationship that, instead of being a source of peace and comfort, feels more like a storm, constantly disturbing your inner calm and leaving you feeling unsettled. It's tough, isn't it, when the very connections that are supposed to enrich our lives end up costing us our peace of mind. This is a clear signal that it's time to pause and reflect on the role such a relationship plays in your life. Stoicism, a philosophy that has stood the test of centuries, places immense value on tranquility, teaching us to cultivate a state of inner calm that remains undisturbed by external circumstances. The Stoics believed that peace of mind is not just a precious asset, it's essential for living a good life. They taught that we should strive to maintain our equanimity in the face of life's ups and downs, and this includes navigating our relationships with wisdom and discernment. So, what do we do when a relationship consistently disrupts our tranquility? First and foremost, Stoicism encourages us to take a step back and examine the situation objectively. Ask yourself, why does this relationship disturb my peace? Is it the behavior of the other person, unresolved conflicts, or perhaps my own reactions and expectations that are at fault? This process of self-examination is crucial because it moves us from a place of emotional reaction to one of rational response. Once we've identified the source of the disturbance, the next step is to consider what can be changed. Can the issues be addressed through open and honest communication? Are there boundaries that need to be set or reinforced? Remember, Stoicism doesn't advocate for passive acceptance of all situations. While it teaches us to accept the things we cannot change, it also encourages us to take action where we can make a positive difference. However, if after careful consideration and effort, the relationship continues to be a source of turmoil, it may be time to question its place in your life. This isn't about giving up at the first sign of trouble or conflict. It's about recognizing when a relationship is fundamentally misaligned with your values and your pursuit of tranquility. The decision to distance oneself from a relationship that disturbs your peace is not to be taken lightly. It requires courage, honesty, and sometimes a willingness to let go for the sake of your own well-being. But remember, the Stoic goal is not to eliminate all sources of discomfort in our lives, but to cultivate an inner resilience that allows us to face challenges with equanimity. In the end, the relationships we choose to maintain should support our pursuit of tranquility, not undermine it. They should be sources of strength, growth, and joy, not constant unrest. So, if you find yourself consistently disturbed by a relationship, consider it an opportunity to practice Stoic wisdom, reflect, evaluate, and choose the path that leads to peace. Let's strive to surround ourselves with people who contribute to our tranquility rather than detract from it. In doing so, we honor not just the Stoic teachings, but also our own journey towards a life of peace, purpose, and profound fulfillment. Remember, the quality of our lives is greatly influenced by the quality of our relationships. It's about finding balance, embracing truth, cultivating respect, and above all, ensuring our connections enrich our lives without compromising our peace. As we part ways today, I hope you carry with you the Stoic principles we've explored together. Let them be a beacon, guiding you through the challenges and joys of your relationships. And remember, the pursuit of tranquility, virtue, and wisdom is a journey we're all on together. One step, one decision, one relationship at a time. If this conversation has sparked a desire for more exploration, more understanding, and more growth, I invite you to dive deeper into our journey. Right on your screen, you'll see a playlist that will take you further into the world of Stoicism, its principles, and how they can be applied to every facet of your life. So, go ahead, click on it, and let's continue to grow together, to challenge ourselves, and to cultivate lives of profound meaning and joy. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, keep striving for that tranquility, keep seeking wisdom, and remember, in the tapestry of life, we're all connected through our shared humanity and our quest for a good life. See you in the next video.